Hey guys, welcome to our podcast. In this our first podcast about geography. I'm Anton and this is my friend Abed. In this podcast, we will discuss the impact of excessive expansion of oil plantation on deforestation and the function forest ecosystem. Okay, let's get started. Abed, you as a geography student, what do you know about news?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me in this podcast. And I found the news is quite disturbing. I mean, how could a forest that was once dense and slowly turn into a bare land?
Yes, I also cannot imagine what it would be like my home were destroyed. What is your response regarding the Papua forest being Indonesian last natural forest stronghold?
Yes, that's definitely worrying. We've seen palm oil plantations taking over forests in Sumatra and Kalimantan. And now it feels like only a matter of time before Papua follows. Slowly but surely, that last stronghold will fall.
Okay, Abed, before we talk about the conflict, let's talk about the location. Geographically, what is Papua like? It is flat like Jakarta.
No, not at all. Papua is unique. The island is dominated by high mountains and deep valleys.
And the forest cover most of it, right?
Yes, we call it the tropical rainforest. It's very dense, and due to the difficult terrain, many areas are still untouched by humans.
That sounds beautiful. In geography, we learn about biodiversity. What lives inside the forest?
Many things. Papua is home to endemic species like cendrawasih or bird of paradise.
The icon Papua. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. But it's not just for animals. The forest is also the home of the Oyu tribe. For them, the forest is not just land, it's their supermarket and their chemist or pharmacy.
So it is a paradise. But here my question: if the terrain is so difficult, why do palm oil companies want to go there?
That's a good question, Anton. From a geography perspective, the climate is perfect. Plus, it has high rainfall and sunshine. Papua has both, so that's why they want to go there.
So, although the location is the remote, the soil is very fertile.
Exactly, and that's why millions of hectares are targeted for expansion right now.
Okay, Abed. Geographically, Papua is located in the equator zones, which is mostly covered by tropical rainforests. What is the vital function these tropical rainforests in influencing the local and global climates?
The tropical forest is like a huge city. It's home to rich biodiversity and unique plants and animals found only in Papua, such as the Papuan black orchid, birds of paradise, and cassowaries. If the forest is destroyed and land use changes, the biodiversity will inevitably collapse. The impacts of large-scale deforestation might not be immediate, but over time, like floods in Sumatra, they could be felt 5 to 20 years later.
Okay, we know Papua is fertile, but sadly, this is fertility attract big companies. Let's talk about deforestation. How does it happen?
Well, from the satellite imagery, we can see how bad the pattern is. First, the heavy machines entered, then the trees were cut it down rapidly.
And sometimes the land is burned like
Yes, the method is this method is cheap, but also dangerous. The original forest is replaced by monoculture palm oil.
I read the news from the Al Ace on Papua campaigns. It's a 36,000 hectares.
Yeah, imagine that. That area is bigger than Jakarta City.
That's crazy, yeah? And this area belongs to the Awu tribe, right?
Correct. They're fighting in court now. They're protesting because their customary forest is being converted into plantations.
Although they have lived there for generations, they may lose their home.
Yeah, that's true. It's heartbreaking, you know. For the Oyu people, the forest is not just a home. It's like a mother.
So, if the forest creates food and water, losing its mean losing their life.
Exactly. And geographically, it affects the climate too. Once the peatland is open, it releases massive carbon emissions.
So the campaigns LA on Papua is not just a trend, then
No, it's not. It's more than a trend, it's a warning. We must support them so that the remaining forest can be saved.
okay, we talk about the Iwo tribe. Now let's talk about the planets. As a geographers, we study the climates, what happens locally when the trees are gone.
Simple, it gets hotter. We call this the microclimate change. Basically, the forest canopy blocks the sun, but now the soil is exposed and is directly to the sunlight.
So the temperature rises.
Yes, and drastically, the area becomes dry and easily catches on fire.
That's scary for the locals. But does this affect us here or the people in Europe?
Well, absolutely. Remember, Papua is a massive carbon sink. For simple, it's like a giant sponge. The peatland in Papua absorbs all of the bad pollution. However, if the land is open for palm oil, then it releases back into the air.
So it accelerates global warming.
That's true. Deforestation in Papua affects everyone because we share the same atmosphere. We destroy it in a month, but we can't fix it in a lifetime.
So the impact is permanent.
Yeah, the biodiversity is lost forever unless we stop it now because there's still a big chance for it.
Wow, our age on Papua is truly urgent. What exactly are the pace of ecological collapse like? Could they suddenly cause of increase in earth temperature or sea rise?
The impact of this ecological collapse will be like a snowball and domino effect. In the next 1 to 5 years, forest loss will trigger local climate changes, disrupt the water cycle, degrade soil, reduce biodiversity, and harm the socio-economic life of indigenous communities. In the longer term, around 5 to 20 years, the effects will be even more serious. Local and global climate disruption, rising land surface temperature due to carbon release, global warming, melting polar ice, and ultimately sea level rise.
I cannot imagine a time when the forest Papua can only be seen on digital screen in 1 to 20 years later.
I know, it's crazy, right? It's also the government, Anton, especially our current president. They didn't learn from what happened in Sumatra, where after deforestation, there was a terrible flood that carried away a lot of logs and destroyed the city and everything in it.
Okay, but we saw the videos. The forest is vanishing, but I'm worried. We have seen big floods in Sumatra and Kalimantan recently. My question is, will Papua experience the same floodings?
Sadly, the answer is yes. It is very likely. We can look at a pattern. Sumatra has many oil palm plantations, and now floods happen every year.
It is because palm oil trees are different from forest trees.
Exactly. In geography, we learn about water infiltration. Rainforest trees have deep roots. It's like I said earlier, they hold the soil like a sponge, like a big
And
sponge.
palm oil roots.
Palm oil roots are shallow. They can't hold too much water. So when it rains hard enough, the water is not absorbed into the ground.
It is become surface runoff, right?
Yeah, the water flows directly into the river and boom, flash flood.
And Papua is not flat. It has many mountains.
That's it, that's even more dangerous. If the forest on a mountain is cleared, gravity makes the water flow faster.
So the village below will be destroyed.
Yeah, exactly, it is. The mud and water will come down and disasters will happen unless there's a protection on the upstream area.
We don't want Papua to be the next disaster zones. So what is the solution to restore this natural forest when this slow deforestation continue to occur?
In the spatial balance between nature and humans, in geography we recognize the concept of land use, meaning that concessions for palm oil plantation expansion must be limited and, of course, involve local indigenous communities who have already wisely protected their forests. Determining production forests and natural forests must also involve many parties such as researchers, ecologists, indigenous communities, and of course the government as the decision maker who determine the future direction of Papua's forests.
How can we fix this? Can we just stop all palm oil plantations?
Well, that's the difficult because of the economy. However, we can manage it using geospatial technology.
You mean like maps and satellites?
Exactly. We can use GIS or geographical information system to see the land clearly. With satellite imagery, the forest cover is monitored in real time. We can catch illegal deforestation immediately.
So we can watch them from the sky. But how do we balance the lines? Use, we need the forest, but people need job.
The key is spatial planning. We must divide the map into strict zones.
Can you give me an examples?
Sure, we create a red zone for conservation.
Yeah.
This area must not be untouched, and by that includes the primary forest, the peatland, and the Ayus tribe customary land.
And the palm oil goes to the green zone.
Yes, we only plant in degraded land or open areas, not in the rainforest.
That makes sense. But what's about the forest that it's already destroyed? It's hopeless.
No, we can do ecosystem restoration. By using the map, we identify which soil is damaged, then native trees are replanted in that location.
So it takes time, but
Yeah.
it is possible.
It is possible if the government and companies follow the geospatial data. The ecosystem can recover slowly. We do this so that future generation can still see the Chandravasi bird. And how about that?
I agree. Good spatial planning saves lives. Okay, we know that the disaster is coming, but who allows this to happen? The companies cut the tree, but who give them the key?
That's the critical point. The key is held by the government. In geography, we learn about land use policy. Companies cannot enter unless they have a permit.
So the permits are taken by the government.
Yeah, that's why the government is the decision maker. They decide save the forest or sell it.
And right now, the I would say is fighting back in the courts, right?
Correct. They're suing the government to revoke. And this is a historic moment. The indigenous people are teaching the government about protecting nature.
Do you do you not think the government will listen?
Uh, they will listen if the public pressure is strong.
So this is why the hashtag LS on Papua important.
Exactly. Collaboration is the key. We can't fight alone. The government makes the rules, the companies have money, but the people have the vote.
So all parties must work together.
Yeah, exactly. We call it sustainable development. The permits must be evaluated strictly so that the economy grows without destroying the Ayu's home.
Yeah, I hope the decision makers see our podcast today. Okay, time files. We talked for the 15 minutes about Papua, deforestation, and GIS. What's the final conclusions?
Well, the conclusion is simple. Papua is the final boss of our rainforest. We have the technology and we have the data. The only thing missing is the political will.
Speaking of political will, do
Okay?
you think the government in Jakarta will listen to our podcast?
Well, you know how it works in Indonesia, right?
Oh,
We have a special motto: no viral, no justice.
that's true. So if the Iowa trip is not trending on Twitter, the government is sleeping.
Maybe not sleeping, maybe they're too busy looking for investors instead of looking for trees.
Or maybe as a geographer, I suspect something else.
Well, what is it?
Maybe they cannot read the map. Maybe they are holding the map upside down.
That makes sense. They think the red zone is the green zone.
Okay, Abed. Give us one sentence for the futures of Papua's forest.
One sentence, huh? Okay.
Think about
Oil
it.
palm is indeed
Yeah.
a coconut tree, but it isn't as versatile as a forest.
All right, Abed. Thank you for your time. And yes, everyone, what should we discuss next? Write this idea down in the comment section. And see you next podcast. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Goodbye.